Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Why the Red Sox jersey back there instead of my Baseball Guys logo? Now, there's a couple big stories in Beantown today that I wanted to lead off with here on Around the Horn. First off, Jacoby Ellsbury. Top 20 pick in all fantasy leagues this year because of his ability to steal bases, produce a good average, and score runs. He's been out of the lineup virtually the entire year because of issues with his rib cage. Well, he had another setback. He's been placed on the disabled list, and the news that's come out is that he has another fractured rib. We're not certain at this point if it's because of a new injury, if it's a re-aggravation of an old injury, but yet again, Jacoby Ellsbury, thought to be the spark plug for that Red Sox offense, is on the disabled list and likely to miss weeks of action. You have to give serious consideration at this point to the position that Jacoby Ellsbury may not be able to contribute anything to anyone's fantasy roster for the 2010 season. The second story is a better story. Dustin Pedroia, out with a broken foot, is back in the lineup for the Red Sox. And three wonderful second basemen actually returned to the lineups on Tuesday. We had Chase Utley returning for the Phillies and Prado for the Braves. All three of those guys should go right back into your fantasy lineups. Prado will play second base, pushing Omar Infante over to third. Pedroia and Utley will go back into the middle of those lineups and attempt to give the production that saw them drafted as top 5 second basemen this year. Roll with all those guys immediately. They're all back and good to go for their clubs. Justin Morneau, the news is not as good with Justin Morneau. It's much like the situation with Jacoby Ellsbury. Morneau's out with a concussion. He's been out for a while now, and we got a really discouraging report on where he sits right now. Unfortunately for Morneau, for the Twins, for Twins fans, for fantasy owners of Morneau, for everyone, he continues to have issues with the concussion, and it's so bad, in fact, that he hasn't gone a single day without any concussion-related symptoms. Now, as a doctor, I'm not, but they'll tell you they want like a week at least of time where those concussions subside before they really want to ramp up someone's physical activity. So the fact that Morneau hasn't even been able to go back-to-back days at this point without that being an issue, just like with Ellsbury, we now have to seriously consider whether or not Justin Morneau will be able to return at any point as a weapon for the Twins and his fantasy owners in 2010. Now, even if he's healthy, even if he wakes up tomorrow and the next couple days are good, he's been out for so long, you've got to think he's going to go on a minor league rehab stint. Best case scenario, if you ask me, with Justin Morneau, is him back the first week of September. Worst case scenario, we might see him for the last time of 2010 already. Mets, Francisco Rodriguez, punching situation. This continues to be a disaster for the Mets. We talked about the other day Around the Horn. He actually tore a tendon in his thumb, had surgery. He's out for the year. He had the surgery today. What did the Mets do? The Mets actually placed him on the disqualified list. Now, what that means is the Mets will not be paying his salary right now. And in fact, there's a lot of rumors out there that the Mets are going to try to recoup their about $3.5 million that he is due the rest of this season because of the fact that he was injured in something having nothing to do with baseball, not having anything to do with the freak accident, because it's a result of that fight where he punched his girlfriend's father in the Mets clubhouse. The Mets are weighing their options and whether or not they'll try to recoup that $3.5 million that he's due this season. Those same reports, however, say the Mets will not cut ties with K-Rod at this point. They will not look to sever the contract that they have in place with him for the 2011 season. But what's going on in 2010, we'll have to continue to look at that because there might be some more movement there. Matt Lindstrom is out as the closer for the Astros, and Brandon Lyon's in. Now, Matt Lindstrom's been out with some back issues. He returned and was really ineffective. The Astros said, hey, we're going to Brandon Lyon at this point. Lyon signed a 3-year deal worth about $15 million in the offseason. A bit of surprise when they then brought Lindstrom in as well. Not really a surprise, though, if you think about Lyon, and what he brings to the hill. He's not a big strikeout guy. His walk rate is very high this year. It's over 4 per 9 innings pitched, leaving him with a strikeout to walk ratio of 1.5. The major league average is just above 2, so he's not even league average in that level. He's also been extremely lucky. He's pitched 56 innings this year, and he's allowed a single home run. He keeps walking those guys, and some of those home runs return, so he gets back to his career average in that home run to fly ball ratio. It could be a really rough time for Brandon Lyon. You got to pick him up if you need saves because he's the guy right now, but don't be surprised at all if they go back to Lindstrom at some point in the near future because Lyon really doesn't profile very well as a closer. And then finally, good news if you're a Washington Nationals fan. Yeah, you got Steven Strasburg, the best pitcher in the history of the world if you ask them. They might now have the best hitter in the history of the world. They were able to sign Bryce Harper, who was their first pick in the 2010 draft. Gave him a contract worth just under $10 million. Something like $6.25 million of that is guaranteed in the signing bonus. Right alongside Mark Teixeira for the two biggest opening day contracts for hitters behind the $15 million. that was given to Steven Strasburg last year. Bryce Harper's still just 17 years old. You talk to scouts, you talk to people around the game, they will tell you this kid has a luminous future. He probably will be moved out from behind the dish. They'll put him in the outfield to take advantage of his one huge skill, which is that impressive bat. He'll probably be maybe a couple years away. You talk to those same talent evaluators and they'll tell you Bryce Harper could be in the big leagues as a player before he turns 20 years of age. Looks like the Nationals have once again gotten themselves a fine player to build around. I'm Ray Flowers, it's baseballguys.com. Don't forget to visit me at twitter.com/baseballguys for that 24-hour day fantasy baseball knowledge.